Today's number is 16. That's how many Father's Days have gone by since my dad passed. My name's Ryan, and 16 years ago I lost my father. He showed up every day to make it mean something. If anything I say today resonates with you, comment below or reach out on the Discord. Now, let's talk about what it meant to be his son. I always knew he was going to be there, whether that was good or bad. I always knew he would be right on that couch every night. There's a consistency and a calm to knowing where your parents are, what your father is, for my sake. Um, this also meant that you were never getting away with shit. Um, I will tell you that while I'm sure all of you have many good fathers, or at least I hope most of you do, I know for me, my father was the best. That is a bias that I'm willing to just eat. He did show up every day to baseball games and karate classes and uh, heartbreaks and fights with friends and all of it. Now, when he was first diagnosed, I couldn't believe it. I remember it was at my cousin's wedding, and I remember hearing the news and going, "Okay, so what do I do? Like, what can we do? What can I do?" Um, he's like, "There's nothing to do. There's no cure." And I said, "No, like I'll take it, right? Like, I don't know how I thought that would change anything, but it made sense at the time." And then a couple of months later, um, he gave us all a baseball, the singular baseball, all of us kids. And then for him, what he wanted was us to write a little note and sign it. And that would be more important than a Derek Jeter rookie ball, right? And we all did. And Dad wasn't somebody who was tech savvy. He just wasn't. Um, I remember when he was at chemo camp, as he used to call it. He was so excited that he got one of those early iTunes that had the video on it, and he could watch 24 while he was getting chemo, and that was his way of kind of getting through it. And just the fact that that even existed, the fact that cell phones existed for a Star Trek fan, this it was the next generation for him. He was ecstatic, but he himself wasn't great at it. If you got a text message from his flip phone, it usually said something like "K." Well, I wrote on the ball, and I ended with ASNF. A son never forgets. And he wrote back, "Thanks. Now I'm crying, you douche." I'll never forget it because that's how we interacted. It was genuine. It was the intention. Um, he only made it a few months more after that, and the next, well, really, a few months later was Father's Day, and on that Father's Day, I started a tradition. I call it Sad Sack Day. Um, I watch a sad movie or a movie that has something more like family or father like related. Previous installments of like Pursuit of Happiness or Field of Dreams. But that first one I watched was because it's where I learned about ASNF, and it's called Men of Honor. It's a great movie, highly recommended. He um he had sat me down to watch this movie, and while it's a great movie, you really are supposed to take away from that. Don't give up on yourself, but also remember where you come from, who taught you what you learned, how you got to where you're going, how you got to where you are. And I remember putting that movie on particularly because I remembered the baseball. And the intention was to stop not feeling, or in this case, to stop feeling anything but the pain. Um, and I did, it worked. There was catharsis, there was tears, there was more than just um, melancholy and pain. And every year since then, I've watched a sad sack movie as a part of that tradition. This year, I'm sure I'll be watching something that I've been sort of trying to avoid as a new father, um, and I'll be doing it while I do other things. But um, I always do it to sort of honor that you kind of have to. I don't want to say cry it out because not everybody wants to do that, but feel it out. And especially when the days get quiet, after you lose somebody that's very important to you, um, everyone's there for the beginning. They understand your life is part of their lives. They want to be there for you because they care about you. Um, but a month goes by, 3 months go by, the calls become less and less. That's natural. It's nobody's fault, and because of that, That's where I try to step in a bit more with people who I know are going through a hard time, because it's when it's quiet that you need a little bit more. Um, and I recommend this pattern, whether it's good for their grief or part of their grief journey or not. Um, Now, loss is immense. It is felt by all. I know Colbert has a whole thing about um, it's okay to. He's grateful to have lost his family that he lost, his in this case his brother and father, and because it showed him grief, and grief is a part of life, and that pain shows that the love is real. And you have to accept that loss is a part of life, and as a byproduct, that love being real is a validation of who and what you are to the people in your life. um I think in WandaVision there was a quote of like, was grief but love everlasting, and I'm probably butchering both of these paraphrasings, but go watch Colbert talk about grief. Go watch the WandaVision quote about grief. In both cases is truly how I've started to feel as an adult. Now, I will tell you, it's not always easy. Every day is hard. I miss my father every day. Um, he was a good man. If nothing else, if I could say nothing else good about him as a person, he was a good man. He was a great father. Couldn't spell for shit. And I found that always interesting. The man was dyslexic, couldn't spell a word basically. He read ferociously though. And uh, my thing with it is, it didn't matter that he couldn't spell because he could communicate. He was just better in person, talking with people, being trusted by people, being there for people. And for such a big guy, he was like 6'3", 400 pounds at one point, maybe more. He could move swiftly and quietly. You may not know he had done something in your life, but he was always listening. He was always attentive, um, and he could communicate in different ways. If you had said something in March in a conversation, in passing, about whatever, something that you enjoyed, and he saw that thing in June or July, he'd pick it up, and I guarantee it was your Christmas present that year. He always knew, um, because while he may not have been able to do the written word very well, he he knew how to communicate. In fact, one of his dead dad gifts, as we call it, and I have it up here. It's a reminder. Um, all it is a box, um, a ream of paper, a pen, and a note. Tell your story. A reminder that you're in charge of who tells your story, but also to write it down, put it out there, be seen. Um, I'm a big fan of Scott Galloway, and he preaches being a good storyteller. That actually everything and every person that you meet that's good in life, good in business, good in relationships, they're great storytellers. It's something I aim to be. Um, Learning every day how to be better at it. I know that this is not a channel that we normally talk about these kinds of things, but I was moved to talk about this today because I know so many of you deal with the grief of loss of your loved ones, of your fathers, of your father figures, if you didn't have a dad in your life directly, um, or just who wish that they had, and the grief of not knowing that love or not knowing that feeling that I'm talking about. I will tell you one of the things that I enjoyed um, in his passing, not in his passing, but leading up to it. He uh, he put us all individually in a room at some point and said, "Hey, listen, I need you to do three things for me." He gave me a list of things that were private to me. He said that I need you to take care of my girlfriend, his wife, my mother. Um, he always called her his girlfriend because he loved her the same as the first day that they had met. And then for me, the last thing I thought was just for me was, and I need you, if you ever feel inclined, if you have a firstborn son, would you mind naming him Patrick? And for me, I was like, absolutely, wouldn't mind that at all. Come to find out, he said the same thing to my brother and sister. Now, my sister doesn't have any intention, and my brother has had four girls, and my nieces are lovely, and I think that they're done trying in general, not just for a girl or a boy. They're very happy with the family that they have. So it's just my son, and I did name him Patrick. And I remember when we told everybody the day, I have this great shot of telling my family. And my mother's in tears, and my brother's in the distance, and with a big grinning smile. And I was very proud to call him Patrick. I love that my son gets to have that name with him, that he understands the meaning behind it, that he asks about Grandpa Patrick, that he wants to know more about a man that he will never meet. And while I am saddened every day and would trade most things in the world to have my father with me one more day, for one more hug, for one more conversation, I would trade all of that so that he could meet them, my son and my daughter, so that they could understand who he was more directly, not just through me. So now the best I have to offer is to showcase and be there for them in ways that he was there for me. Uh, a boo boo, or um, a first love gone wrong, or a broken heart, or getting into school and celebrating, or whatever it may be. My father showed me a lot, and I hope that I can show those in my life what he meant to me, but also how it made me who I am. He was not perfect, not as a man or as a father, but he was damn close. And I don't know that anybody's gonna be perfect at those things, but I look back and I'm proud of the man I was raised by, and hope I will make him proud as well. I've said before that my mother is terminal. We found that out last April. And at some point, I will have to have a conversation on this channel and with others about that loss and the catharsis of dealing with that grief. But I've done this before because I've I've had to. And I will tell you, while it doesn't get easier by each day, and for those who say it does, it's not that they're lying, it's that they're hoping it will. For me, it doesn't. I think of my father every day, and that's okay. Um, but when that time comes and mom passes, it won't be less uh, hard because I've dealt with it, but I'll know how to deal with it better. And my family has had a hard time grappling with the frequency of loss, so to speak. I said, here's the thing: somebody, just law of large numbers, was going to pass at some point from this kind of disease, and at this point, we know how to deal with it. We know the pain, we know the anguish, we know the methods, and what works for us. And if it means that one less family has to go through it, one less family that may not be as prepared, or one less family that may not be capable, right? There are families who their entire world would be destroyed if they couldn't deal with, or if their mother or father or both left. The children or the extended family would never recover. I, I, I I do believe in God, and not everybody does, and I respect that. Um, and I don't think that God does these things to test, but I do think that um, you're tested because you're able to get through it. Um, and in the law of large numbers, if it means even one less person has to deal with that pain, I'll take it. For all of you, if you're challenged in the future, if you have um, the grief, the anguish, the need for catharsis, comment below on this. I'll reach out. Join the Discord and talk to me. I told you guys months ago, I when I first started this out, it was because my son opened a pack of Pokemon cards and I saw his smile. And I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. And I was at a low point with my mom's diagnosis, and I saw him smile, and I just said, "That's it. Got to do all that. Got to know all more about this." And I'm glad that I did. Forget the business side for a second. That'll grow. That'll be something because I put the work in, because I put the effort in. But the community that's been building around, the people I've gotten to meet, um, the people I've grown to care about, that care about me, that's more real. And maybe he opened that pack so I could build that, so I could grow that. Um, at the end of the day, I want all of you to know. Well, I always say be good or be good at it. You matter. And if you have the ability right now to fix a relationship, your father, your mother, your friend, any of it, do it while you can. I'll see you next time. Now go call your dad.